You can continue to react, or you can choose to dive inwards and heal the root of your reactivity. Now, it's pretty obvious that our collective is working through some pretty heavy shit right now. And if you're anything like me, you're feeling the weight of it all. This heavy energy is also causing us to react in ways that we never did before. We're dehumanizing each other, fighting with each other, and the level of hate in our collective continues to escalate. Tune into this episode to learn how you can best navigate these heavy times. And if you are ready to dive into the inner work required to elevate your leadership and grow your movement, let's talk. I currently have a few openings for coaching and mentorship. All you got to do is apply today. Just head to www.rubyfremon.com/let's-work-together. That link and more will be in the show notes. And if you have any questions about this episode or just want to share an insight that you gained, please shoot me a text at 1-781-336-0160. You can also reach out to me on social media at I am Ruby. And if you prefer emails, just go to rubyfremon.com/subscribe. Now, whether you are a loyal thought leader or a brand new listener, please take a moment right now to download a few episodes on iTunes and drop a rating and review. Help me get this podcast out to more leaders around the world. Now it is time to dive into ways you can navigate the heaviness felt in our collective right now. Hey, thought leaders, welcome to another episode of today's Thought Leader. Now, by the time you hear this episode, I'll be living in our new home in Austin. But right now, at the time of recording, if you're watching the video version of this, you can see behind me there is a big mess because we're in the middle of a move from California to Austin. So things are a little crazy. But things are also a little crazy in our collective right now, and that's what I want to address. So by the time that this airs, the elections will be over in the United States. But right now, at the time of recording, we're about a week and a half away from the elections. So there's a lot of intense energy in the collective, and not just in the United States. As we've always seen and always known, politics in the US impact the rest of the world. And the rest of the world, I mean, this is like one of the only elections that many people around the world keep their eyes on. And so there's just a lot of intense energy around this. And it doesn't matter what party you're voting for, who you believe in, and it doesn't matter. There's just intense energy in the collective. And then let's add to that we have now been living in the era of COVID for, about 8 months, maybe more, depending on where in the world you are. And with that, there comes a lot of other stuff, right? Depending on where you are in the world and how things have been run. Maybe you've been in isolation for a really long time, and maybe you haven't seen your family like me in a very long time. Maybe you're feeling the anxiety of the holidays coming up, knowing that you're not going to see your family. Maybe you're feeling fear still. Maybe you're feeling anger. Maybe you're feeling frustration. Whatever it is, it almost feels like right now in the collective, everything has become intensified and emotions are high. They're running high. People are running on a lot of volatility and reacting a lot. We've noticed the reactivity on social media, for example, and the internet all year, but it seems like things are getting louder now. And my intention for this episode is really to offer you a few invitations right now. And the first being, I invite you to step away from it all, to recollect yourself, to regroup, to reground. So what I mean by that is I invite you to step away from your business for a moment, if need be, to take a pause, take a beat, to regroup, to recalibrate, because you may need to shift things. Like myself, I'm finding myself in this weird space where I know what I have been doing and what I have created this year. No matter how much I love it, it's just not going to happen next year. And I don't know what's happening next year. And so I am myself stepping away from my business a little bit for the rest of this year, just to really be with myself, to regroup and recollect my thoughts, and to ground back into my truth, to see what is it that really wants to emerge now with everything that's happening in the collective. It's an invitation to step away from people. If you are around someone, and maybe not physically, but even like on Zoom calls or text messages, if there is someone whose energy just causes friction, then I invite you to step away from that. I invite you to step away from environments as best as you can that just don't feel good right now. I invite you to step away from the internet, from social media, from TV, from newspapers, from magazines, from all of it. I invite you to step away, to regroup, to reground, to collect yourself right now. Because at the center of all of this, and this meaning your life, is you. And so if you are not feeling good, if you are feeling on edge, if you're reacting on high reaction mode right now, if you are feeling a volatility of emotions or surge of emotions, then this is a sign from your emotional body that you need to step away and you need to reground. I also invite you to be in the gray areas of all of it, of politics, of COVID, of the beliefs that wrap around all of these things. I invite you to be in the gray, in the unknown, because the truth is we don't yet know what the truth is. And that's the irony. We've been split into like these two parties, these two groups of people. In politics, it's red versus blue. But then with that, they've also intertwined COVID and racism and a slew of other issues. And they're pinning us together. I mean, they're pinning us against each other. And this is it. I mean, it's insanity what's happening right now, and the way that people are treating each other right now. And I know you feel me on this. And I have caught myself as well. I have caught myself wanting to react when people come at me in my comments, in my DMs. I've caught myself. And now I've found myself just not responding at all, because I realize that I am in a state of reactivity. So I just need to take a beat. So I invite you to sit in the gray of it all, just like I am, because we don't know what the truth is about anything. And as always, the truth will be revealed. It will. It happens. It's always happened in our collective. The truth will be revealed. And just to trust in that. And in the meantime, to trust yourself that you're going to be safe just being in the gray. I think what we struggle with most in being in the gray area of not taking like one side or another is the uncertainty that comes with it, because our brains want to know. Our brains are built to problem solve. And if there is a problem, this is how our brain works. It wants to solve it. We are exceptional problem solvers. And so when we see ourselves in this world where there's this problem, we see, again, whether it's politics or COVID or anti-racism, whatever it is, we want to solve it. We want to take one side over the next. But when you do that, when you take one side, you actually close yourself off to hearing different opinions, to seeing things differently, to acknowledging other viewpoints, to hearing about different experiences. You open yourself up to being reactive to other perspectives because they go against your beliefs. And again, like, I'm not immune to this. And I continue to ground myself daily so that I can continue to show up on social media and show up with my clients and stand in my beliefs, because I have a certain set of beliefs. And if you follow me on social media, you understand what I'm saying. And I also still look at all sides of the equation, and I can do so without being bitter about it. And this is the invitation. And that's what being in the gray means. So that doesn't mean that if you believe something, I'm telling you to like let go of that belief. I'm not saying that. You can believe that and play in the gray space, play in that place of uncertainty. So at the time of recording this, the final debate took place last night, and the final presidential debate took place last night at the time of recording this. And I tweeted something along the lines of, I encourage you to watch this debate as if you are rooting for the opposite person and looking for faults in the person you're actually truly rooting for. Something like that. And I tweeted that only because this is a game that I've been playing with the elections, for example, because it's crazy how our minds work, right? Like when we want to believe something so bad, we will find fault in anything that goes against what we believe. And to me, in my perspective, I don't feel like this does any good for leadership or just being a human being, because this pins us against each other, and this prevents us from having conversations, from seeing each other as human beings. But on the other side of all these opinions that you are hating on so much is a fucking human being, just like you. And you're hating on them. There is so much hate from all sides of the equation. And those who are preaching love and light, it's like they don't even see the hate that they're spewing, because they hate the current president so much, or they hate the way that COVID's being run, or they hate, the quote unquote sheeple, whatever it is. And it's that energy exudes from them in everything that they're doing. And that's not supporting our collective in the direction that we want to go. Now, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, like the Great Divide is happening, and it needs to happen. There's nothing we can do to stop this. It needs to happen. I have seen this. I know this. We need to see the polarity that has been for a long time hidden within our collective. So this is happening, but within this Great Divide is also the invitation to be in the gray and to observe without reacting. And I'll tell you, it is a practice, and one that I am still practicing, because I still can be super reactive, and I get that. And this is why we go back to the first thing I said, which is, and it's okay to step away. I invite you to step away. I'm feeling that right now. And I'm inviting myself to step away from the online space. I'm inviting myself to step away from a lot of things right now and just focus on me and this big ass move from California to Texas. The other thing I invite you to is I invite you to dive deeper within yourself. Now, I am a firm believer that not everything is a mirror. I think sometimes an asshole is just an asshole. And that we can actually make everything into a mirror if we want. And when we do that, when we choose to see everything as a mirror, there is an invitation for us to dive deeper within ourselves, because we can always find a shadow, whether it's a thought that comes up or a judgment that comes up, whatever it is, there's always an invitation to dive deeper. And I think right now, more than ever, we are being called to dive deeper within ourselves, to observe our shadows, to be in our light, to heal. Because we react from anger, right? We react from this angry place, and beneath anger is sadness. Always beneath anger is sadness. And so right now, as angry as people are in our collective, including, you, me, like as much anger as we're feeling, and like let's not deny it, we're all feeling some level of anger right now. There is a deep sadness. And that's the invitation, to dive deeper into that, to observe, what is that sadness? For me, the sadness is, and this is for me personally, the sadness comes from seeing how humans are treating each other right now. I get emotional talking about this, seeing how human beings are treating each other right now, seeing the rage that people are feeling against each other right now, seeing how mean people can be towards each other right now, and seeing how people are dehumanizing each other. That's my sadness. And it can come out as anger, which comes out as reactivity. And so from that sadness, understanding like this is what I'm actually really sad about. Okay, well, what can I do about it? I don't have control over everyone else, but I can work on my own shit, so that I'm not being one of those mean people out there, so that I am not adding to the dehumanizing effect that is taking place in our world. So I invite you to dive deeper and start looking at those shadows that are calling you inwards. Because we're going into the winter, and winter is a perfect season for shadow work, let me tell you. And this is really like the stuff that I do with my clients. And you've heard me talk about it, the inner work. Some people call it shadow work. I call it the inner work. This is the work that I love to do, and I love to do it on myself as well, because it unveils so much. You start to recognize new pieces of yourself, and you get to elevate yourself, but you can't do that without letting your roots grow deeper. If you look at a tree does grow higher and grows bigger on the top, but the roots also grow deeper and more expansive. And that's how trees gain their height. And so the roots never stop growing, because the top of the tree is growing. It's all growing. And this is how we have to look at ourselves as individuals. As we want to grow and elevate and accelerate and gain momentum, we also have to remember to ground, to dive deeper with our roots, to expand our roots. So if that's the type of work you're interested in doing, make sure you hit me up, because I do have a few openings for one-on-one clients right now. With all of that being said, there are a lot of invitations being presented right now, and you can come up with your own. But instead of letting yourself be caught up in the tornado that is our collective energy right now, choose to anchor yourself in and find the invitations that are calling to you the most, and take yourself up on those invitations. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Today's Thought Leader, where I'm challenging you to activate the leader within. Now, to learn more about how we can work together, which I would love to do, just head to rubyfremon.com/let's work together. That is let's-work-together. That link and more will be in the show notes. And please do me a favor, as we're heading into the 200 episode, which is next week. I would absolutely love to get this podcast out to more people around the world, and you can support me in making that happen. All you got to do is download a few episodes. I recommend 3, and then drop a rating and review on iTunes. Please do that. And thank you so much if you've already done that. And then, of course, share it with a friend. If you have any questions about the episode, or you want to share your number one takeaway, please shoot me a text message at 1-781-336-0160. And just remember to mention episode 199. And then finally, let's connect on social media. If we're not connected already, my handle is at I am Ruby, and my two favorite places to hang out are Twitter and Instagram. Now, make sure you check back on Monday for a very special episode number 200. I can't believe I've recorded 200 episodes. It's insane. But check back on Monday for episode number 200 of today's Thought Leader. Thank you so much, leaders. Remember to be aware of the invitations that are being presented to you right now.